For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet. We are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Christen Ball. How's it going today, Christen?
I am great. How are you, Tom?
Doing pretty good. Just enjoying this warm weather that we're having. You know, it's springtime, baseball season, so it's just a good time of the year. I'm really enjoying it. So how are things going in Nashville?
Things are going really well. I just came off of a really busy week, just kind of where I was kind of running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But I'm excited for the busyness means that I'm working. Yeah. So it's always a blessing to be busy, especially when you're self-employed. And things are going well.
Good. And is it all music related, or do you run like another side, like a side business to fuel the music?
Yeah. So everything, I like to say I wear a lot of hats. Everything that I do for my job is music, but I have kind of three different quadrants that I have. So like, obviously I'm a music artist and there's everything that goes with that. And then on Sundays, I actually lead worship at churches, and it's crazy. For the past 2 years, I've actually been booked at a church almost every single Sunday. And a lot of that, of course, during the pandemic was video, like live stream type stuff. But then the third part of my quadrant is, it's the smallest one, but I do teach private music lessons. And that's definitely what I consider just a side hustle. I even tell all the parents of the kids that I teach, I'm like, I don't do this. Like we're not going to do recitals. I might need to cancel sometimes if a gig comes up. But it does help to have, just that extra source of income for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you help ensure that there's the next generation of musicians. So yes,
exactly.
It's a win-win. So once again, I do want to thank you for jumping on here and giving us time. I know we were supposed to do this last week, but you were battling laryngitis or something?
So I actually ended up going to the doctor just to see. I've gotten sick a couple times recently, and it hasn't been anything like, it's not like I've been in the hospital or anything, but it's like I would get sick and just be out for a week, and everything came back normal. And it was just an upper respiratory infection, but I guess 'tis the season for that type of thing to be, aggravated by allergies. But yeah, I was not in good shape last Saturday. So thank you for rescheduling and letting me jump on today instead.
For sure. It is the season of allergies. I've got my nasal spray and my, just allergy meds, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But, cool. So, for the people that are just getting to meet you for the first time, or just to kind of refresh some of our listeners' memories, give us like a background of who you are, what got you into music, stuff of that nature.
Let's see, my music journey actually started with my family. I came from a super musical family. My mom is a pianist. My grandpa was a bluegrass guitarist, and my aunt is an opera singer. And so it was anything I could do to not do music. I actually wanted to be a cartoonist for a while because I wanted to do something different than my family. But I fell in love with music just growing up singing and making music with my family. My grandpa got me into playing guitar. And we would have so much fun playing guitar together. And that was really the thing. I mean, my mom got me into like classical piano lessons as a kid. And I enjoyed the piano, but the teachers that I had didn't know how to show me how to play chords and play the kind of music I would want to play. Like I was playing classical music and scales, which is great training, but I just got so bored with that. I just wanted to do my own thing. And then when my grandpa taught me guitar, I realized, oh my goodness, I can be more creative on this instrument, at least for me. And so then let's see, I started really doing shows in high school. I started pretty early and then continued that all through college, and then made the leap to move to Nashville right after college. And then I've been playing music ever since in a lot of different ways. For the past 2 years, I've really been focusing on being my own artist. But prior to that, I had been more of what I call a side woman, someone I would tour with artists, like sing in the studio. I still do some of that, but it's just not what I'm as passionate about as my own music. And so over the past 2 years, it was honestly the pandemic that kind of threw me back into thinking about what do I want to do with my life. And I just started writing songs again, just for the sake of making art. And then now I'm really blessed to say I get to being a music artist is the main thing I get to focus on right now, which is really fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And how long have you been in Nashville?
I have been here a minute. I have been here for, my goodness, I've been here since 2007. So
wow.
What is that? 15 years.
Wow.
So I have been here a very long time.
So you've seen the city grow pretty well.
Yes.
Grow and change.
Indeed.
And where'd you move from?
I moved from actually Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay.
That's where I went to college, but Virginia is actually home for me, Yorktown, Virginia.
Gotcha. How'd you like Tulsa? Because I looked to move there at one point in my life, and the day that I went to move there for a job, and I went to the job interview, and it was the night that they got hit by like a really bad tornado. Like I pulled in as the tornado sirens were going off. I went into my hotel room, fell asleep, and then I woke up and it was like, sir, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, why? Well, there was massive tornadoes all around us, and we tried to call you to come into the ballroom or whatever it was, and you never answered. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
So
that is so scary.
Yeah. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. That was around 2013, I want to say.
Okay.
So
yeah.
How did you like Tulsa?
I liked the people.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I think that was the best part of my experience there was the people. I wasn't crazy about the town itself. Like there wasn't a huge music scene there. And then also there wasn't, there aren't the places to eat there that there are in Nashville, and just the things to do. And so I really loved the people and the friends that I made while I was there. But someplace I would love to continue to visit, but probably wouldn't want to live there again.
I think Oklahoma City kind of takes all the shine away from Tulsa. Like, very true. I know a lot of musicians that come out of Oklahoma City, but I don't know too many that come out of Tulsa. So it's interesting. Cool. So you came from a very musical family, and you originally wanted really nothing to do with music, correct? Whenever that was pretty young in my, early on in my life, just because I've always been the kind of person that wants to be different and wants to do the thing that not everybody's doing. Yeah. And so when I was just surrounded by music, and I just wanted to be a cartoonist at that time and just draw pictures. And it really wasn't until, it was middle school when I was, I think, in 8th grade. And do you remember the band Hanson? Yes. So they're around my age. Mm-hmm. And when they were first getting started, it's crazy. They were on that show, Regis and Kathy Lee. And I remember it was at the point in my life where I just wanted to draw pictures, but then I saw them, they were the same age as me, and they played acoustic guitar and sang that song Bop. Mm-hmm. And I was just so inspired
as a kid, really. And I remember going to my grandpa and I said, Papa, I said, do you think I could do that? Like, do you think I could play that song? And he said, oh, honey, absolutely. And so, of course, the song was 3 chords, and he taught me those 3 chords. And then after that, it was just history at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that band fairly well. My sister was obsessed with them.
Yep.
I was in 5th grade or so when they like MMMBop kind of came out.
Yep.
I don't remember much more than that, other than liking the one big CD they had. The one song I liked was "Man from Milwaukee," which
that was a great song.
It was one of the songs that was like, nobody else is listening to this one.
Yeah,
it's kind of I don't know what it was, but yeah.
You just wanted to be different, like I did.
Yeah. So when you were young, you said you wanted to be a cartoonist. Does that explain the Sonic the Hedgehog?
It does,
right there.
So, yes, I actually. So, fun fact about myself is I'm basically what a Trekkie is to Star Trek, but to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice.
And so I wanted to actually, what my dream was to draw for the Sonic comics as a kid. That was just my ultimate dream. And this is actually left over. So yesterday I threw a Twitch release party for my single, but I also celebrated the Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out.
I was just about to ask if you had seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I'm about to see it on Monday. Okay. But I actually brought out, I cleaned up most of the decorations I had, because I brought out my whole stash of stuff. Nice. And I'm actually dressed up as Sonic on the stream yesterday too.
Nice.
Completely unrelated to Dear Prudence, but it was like the movie was coming out on the same day, and so I just wanted to do something fun.
For sure. So I have to ask, were you a part of that whole movement for, who is it, Sony that is releasing these movies, or whoever it was?
I should. Go ahead. Sorry.
The first movie, the fans forced them to go back and like redraw Sonic or whatever.
Yeah, I did not participate in the uprising, but I definitely agreed with all of the fans, and I was very upset about the way that Sonic looked originally. Like, he had teeth, and it was just was not the correct depiction. I have a theory that they did that on purpose as a marketing scheme. That's just a theory, unproven theory, but then I was really pleased with the actual design that ended up coming through. I was like, he looks like a hedgehog. He looks like himself, but looks modernized and appropriate for the times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they marketed that first movie, it seems like forever, even before like the whole uprising of before the trailer came out and they were all mad about what Sonic looked like. I remember, when did that first movie come out? 2018? 19, something like that.
So I remember, I think it was 2019, because my husband actually took me, it came out on Valentine's Day, and that's what I wanted to do for Valentine's Day was go see that movie.
But I remember in 2016, 2017, I went to the movie with my parents, and I think we went and saw, I don't remember what we went and saw, but there was a banner or one of those pop-up things that had Sonic the Hedgehog coming soon. And so they were promoting this thing 2 years ahead of time. And I'm like, and all it said was coming soon. And then I never saw another thing until the trailer dropped. And I was like, okay, cool. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. I saw the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff, and I was like, well, maybe she was teaching a student that's just really into Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, but it's me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I even have this. Dropping stuff in here. I got this hat that I wore on my I even like wore this on my
Yes.
stream yesterday.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's another Twitch streamer. If you ever get a chance to check out, I can send you her link. She does
Yes.
similar stuff, like when they hit sub goals or whatever, she'll
Yes.
dress up as different anime characters, or
That's so cool.
like 90s Disney and Nickelodeon characters.
Yeah.
I remember once she did like Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold.
Oh my gosh, that's
And-
so cool.
Yeah, so she does stuff like that. I'll have
Yeah.
to send you her link here after we're done. But no, that's cool that you're making your streams interesting. I was going to wait a little bit to talk about the Twitch streaming, but how's that been going?
It's been a blast. Goodness, it's like one of my favorite things that I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm in it for the long haul. I know I am in it for the long haul. My friend Emmy Law, who I think you know her, she's a wonderful friend, amazing artist, and she introduced me to Twitch and was very kind to let me come on her stream. And so she got to kind of introduce her community to me, and some of them have also adopted me, and so I'm very, very grateful. And it's just been a blast. It's to have people that care about what I'm doing and caring about my art and the kind of music I want to do is just, it means so much to me. I mean, I feel like my small community has changed my life in just, I think I've only been streaming a month, and it's like, it's changed the way that I approach music and the way that I think about things. And they were on the forefront of my mind. Like when I was releasing a new song, instead of me going and doing a live release party, I threw a Twitch release party, and it was so much fun. And I'm like, I'm going to do this for every song I release in the future now. And it's crazy. I released a Beatles cover yesterday, and it was so cool because in my chat yesterday, people were commenting and they were saying, I love this part of the song at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Or like, I love this. I mean, it was super specific where people in my community had actually gone and listened to the song. And I mean, I'm such a small artist that I, this is a new thing, I think, for me, for people to care like this. And so it really means a lot to me. And I'm just having a blast with it.
For sure. Twitch has been an interesting thing because so just to kind of how everything oddly warped together. So before we did the PanCan fundraiser, right around the time my mom was getting ready to pass, I was talking to Emmy about getting her on the podcast. And I think within we had a date kind of selected, but it ended up being the day my mom passed. So it was just kind of like, it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't intentionally ghost her, but like when you're just dealing with all that stuff, like nothing else really matters. And then after like a month, after we went through like the funeral, like everything that we had to go through, funerals and memorial services and all that stuff, I kind of forgot that I was talking to her about trying to get her on the podcast. And so life just kind of goes on. We do the fundraiser, you come on. And then in February, the PR person she was working with, I've done some work with him. We communicate on Instagram and stuff like that. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, I got this new artist, Emmy Law, that I'm working with. Would love to get her on the podcast. Let me know. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it struck me. I was like, that name's like super familiar. Where do I know that name from? Yeah. And I went and looked in my email and I'm like, oh, she's probably going to hate me because I've ghosted her for the last 6 months completely unintentionally.
No.
And then, so she came on, and at that time I was starting to play with the idea of going to Twitch because I'd seen some other musicians we work with that were live streaming, and I knew she had a decent following. And I was like, I don't want to make her the first one on Twitch because it just seems like I'm using her to build my following. So I waited another week, made the transition over, and here we sit.
Yeah.
So
that is amazing.
Yeah, it was an interesting transition. And then of course she brings you on her stream and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I know her
Know
too.
her?
And she brought in a few other and I'm like, I know her too. I know him too. That's
Yeah.
funny. So I guess that's just like that Nashville community that everybody talks about. So
Yep. It's all connected.
yeah, for sure. For sure. So you mentioned this a couple times. Yesterday you dropped a cover of Dear Prudence.
Yes.
Why did you choose that song specifically?
Okay, so that song, so it's crazy. The backstory with that, this was probably about 10 to 12 years ago. I was asked to, I either was asked to do it or I asked to do it. It was this Beatles tribute event, and it was in Nashville. It was a really small thing. I mean, it was literally in a coffee shop, but it was put on to honor the Beatles. And I wanted to choose a song that was kind of obscure that I can't remember if actually they may have actually told me to do something that wasn't popular, but I ended up choosing Dear Prudence. And I remember being on a long road trip. I think I was driving back from a gig somewhere out of state, and I listened to this song over and over and over, and all these ideas just started coming to me for the arrangement, and just little things that I wanted to make my own and change, even though, I mean, obviously it's a Beatles song. It doesn't need any improvements, but just things that I wanted to do to make it my own. And then I ended up playing it, of course, at this tribute event. And it was just such a really special night. It was just one of those things where the whole room was listening, and which is sadly a rarity sometimes in Nashville. And I was just, it just was a really special night to me. And so anyway, I held on to that arrangement, and I would perform it whenever I could, just in my sets with my original music. And then a few years ago, my friends, Gabriel and Gideon Klein, they opened a music studio in Gallatin, Tennessee, a recording studio. And they invited me and my husband, Michael, to come record with them. And so this was the first song that I got to record with them. And they made some changes to it as well. Like we arranged it together, but it ended up just, I mean, it came together just so well. It was the first time too that I tracked my own music as a band. I had been used to only tracking one thing at a time. And in this instance, we had my husband in another room playing drums. I was in the vocal room playing guitar, and then Gideon and Gabe were in the other rooms playing keys and strings and bass. And so it was just really cool. I mean, there was definitely a dynamic that happened. I see why a lot of rock bands that I love tracked as a band versus there's pros and cons to both, but it's like the music that I've love and have geeked out to over the years. They 99% of them tracked it as a band. And so anyway, long story short, I asked to play at a tribute event and had to pick an obscure song because, everyone's going to want to do Hey Jude.
Yeah.
But I ended up picking this one and then just held on to it for years and still do it. And it was really cool. So like my husband and I have just started volunteering at Nashville Rescue Mission, like helping out just the homeless in our community. And so we did music there a few Friday nights ago. And it was really cool because a guy said when we played that song, it was his favorite part of the night. Like it was like a highlight for him. And people that have heard that song and love the White Album, they just love that song. And I love it. And so, so
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something interesting about kind of discovering why bands like to record together as a band. Is that kind of how you see yourself recording moving forward, or only as?
Possibly. I think it depends on the song. I know, so I had released, there's some songs that I have recorded that were like, we did it completely isolated, like one at a time. And that was also really cool. You get to focus on things a little bit more. But I do think moving forward, like I want, I guess my answer to that question is I want a greater percentage of my music to be tracked as a band, and even like live recordings. I'd love to delve into that more, where it's just like an actual live recording that gets mixed afterwards. But yeah, we recorded there's a song, like there were other songs that of mine that I recorded with Gideon and Gabe and Michael, and we tracked those as a band as well. And it was just so special. Actually, my song Hope Leads Me, this was crazy. Gideon and I tracked the acoustic guitar together. Like they have a microphone where one person sits on one side and then the other person just sits on the other side of the mic, and you actually track the guitars together. And it was just so cool. It was definitely a risk because I mean, it has to be, the performance has to be like almost perfect.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. And I was like, this is so cool. And it gave it a whole different sound.
Yeah. Like when you say almost perfect, you just mean that the musicians have to be well rehearsed, because
like it's, I mean, that's an exaggeration to say almost perfect, but I guess what I mean by that is just no, as my husband would say, bum notes.
Yeah.
Like no bad notes. I think that it's okay to have maybe some inconsistencies with the timing or so forth, but it has to just be well put together and ready to play it for sure.
Yeah, because and that just kind of goes to the engineer's faith in the musicians to be ready to go and just be well rehearsed, because there's plenty of times where bands go in and they haven't practiced in 2 months or like whatever it is. And it's like, no, that's not how this works.
No,
like, you got to come in, you got to be ready. You're paying me, be serious, So it's one of those things. So that's good that you felt like you were taking a risk, but I think it's more of the engineer had faith that you guys were going to be well rehearsed and like, we can do this and it's going to sound amazing and it's going to be worth it. So
totally. Well, and Gideon is crazy because like Gideon plays acoustic guitar, but he plays a ton of other instruments, and he's like probably one of the top, or becoming one of the top session musicians in Nashville. He's toured with like Rodney Atkins and Jewel and Christy Knuckles. He's fabulous. And he's always been very kind to me to get me to like sub for him on acoustic guitar on just different gigs. And so he knew that he had faith in me as well as the engineer because I mean, honestly, Gideon could have just played the whole guitar track by himself. Like he didn't need me to play guitar on it. But of course I want to play guitar on it. But but they both pushed me they're like, let's do this together.
Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. And so Dear Prudence, it's out now. Is there a video component to it, or is it just the single right now?
There's not. It's just the single. I've been putting on YouTube just what is it? Just like the sound file, just with a picture. I haven't done, I would like to do more music videos, or a music video. It's just like, it's always the thing of budget, and I've just chose to put more money into marketing for it to help getting my stream numbers up.
Yeah.
And but I'd love to do, I wish that there was a video component. What I will do though, for each of my songs, I've been recording just like acoustic vocal, acoustic versions of my songs. Cause honestly, that's how most of my shows are right now, is solo acoustic. So people are used to hearing that version. And so I like to have that version available for people as well. So that will be a video component, but that will be very much a DIY.
Yeah. Hey, some of those are like really good. Like, I mean, they work, and it's cost effective, and it gets the point across. And if it accurately represents what they're going to hear at a show, then that's amazing as well. Because, sometimes, not saying that Dear Prudence or any of your recordings did this, but like musicians will like overproduce their music to the point that they can't recreate it live.
Right.
And so, it's interesting, but doing the solo acoustic videos just shows a different dynamic to the song, which is
totally
amazing. Speaking of live shows and whatnot, how often are you playing right now outside of Twitch?
Goodness. I am playing a lot. Let's see, I have a couple of residencies at hotels in Nashville. And so I actually just did one of those last night. They're 4-hour sets.
Oh, wow.
And so I do those about once a week. And those are just a mix of originals and covers. And then I also do a decent amount of writers' rounds here in town. And I found that at least during this period in time, the writers' rounds have been a great way for cost effective, like to play live, but without having to hire a band. Like it's like, because people are expecting the solo acoustic thing for that, versus like these music venues, I would have to bring a band, which is always a luxury. But, and then of course on Sundays, I'm leading worship at a church, or sometimes two churches in one day. And so I would say, I mean, a typical week for me is usually playing live like 3 or 4 times, which is a lot for an independent artist. I think especially I'm such a small artist.
And then how often are you streaming on Twitch right now? Is that once a week, twice a week?
Yeah. So I stream twice a week consistently right now, every Tuesday and Thursday. And then I'm trying to figure out, I want to do like one other kind of pop-up stream every week, but I'm still figuring that out. I'm trying to be really consistent with the Tuesday and Thursday, and then find another time. Right now I'm not doing any evenings. My Tuesday is 1 to 3 p.m. and then my Thursday is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so I don't have a evening one yet. And so
that's why I haven't been able to catch any of your streams, because it's like I'm sitting there, I'm like, not waiting for the notification, but like after I get off work and before I jump on usually if I have a podcast that night, I'll jump on Twitch and just kind of see who's on, who's playing. And I've seen like one of your streams on a day that I took PTO, and then I hadn't seen you since. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, so that explains it all right there. So, and you mentioned earlier that the streams are going really well and doing.
Yeah, they've been going so well. It's been really cool to it's my favorite platform. I mean, it's like I remember I think it was maybe 1 or 2 years ago that TikTok was the thing. And I was putting a lot of thought into, okay, how can I get this to where this can be a music tool for me? But then I realized, like, if I ever went viral on TikTok, it's probably going to be a video of my cat, and it's not going to do much for my music. And I love Twitch because it's really about the music and about the artist and building this community of people. I was telling my community yesterday, we are called the Ballers. One of the people on my community actually named us that. But I was saying, I feel like I have you all over in my living room and we're having tea together and I'm playing songs for you and we're talking. And so it's very personal, and I just can't say enough good about it, because I'm so glad that Emmy got me into streaming, and it's a part of my life now.
I remember in one of her streams, they were joking that she's become like a Twitch puppet master.
Yeah.
And it's like she's gotten so many people into Twitch streaming in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's like, so that was an interesting conversation to have. So
yeah, they need to like pay her a commission or something.
But no, it's cool. Twitch is cool. I enjoy it. Obviously, because we don't play music, it's a little bit harder for us to grow our community. But we're working on some new stuff to entice people to come in. Like we're reformatting the podcast a little bit starting in June, so I'm really excited about that. And
so cool.
It's going to be more like a radio show where because all right, so doing it remotely through Zoom was great during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it helped grow us more than anybody will ever understand. But now it's kind of like, okay, it's lost its magic. I need to get back in person and have in-person interviews because that conversation is different. It flows different. There's energy. And what we want to do is start incorporating, like, so say we brought you in, you'd play like a couple of songs and then we talk about it, and it would be there in person. It'd be real. It'd be awesome. It would be, so that's kind of where we're headed.
That's awesome. Count me in for that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And May, I think I'm coming to Nashville, which I'm really excited about. So
that's awesome.
There's a lot going on. I'm really excited about it. And Twitch is going to be along for the ride. So
yes,
basically that's the whole point of this little rambling. So
I love that. That's awesome. But
we will definitely get you on that list. I know Emmy has said that she wanted to be a part of that, but I don't think it was. This was before that I mentioned like the changeover in the podcast, so I'll have to bring that to her attention. So
yes,
but yes, and Nashville's interesting. Like, I want to move there so bad, but I'm not going to just pick up and move there without having a job first.
That's something. Really wise.
Yeah. Because and luckily right now the company that I work for, they have a place in Nashville. I just got to wait for my position to open there.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, before November, please. So, because my lease is up in November. And if I try to move to Nashville in the winter, I might hate myself for it, but.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, goodness, just moving in the cold is not fun. I mean, my husband and I just moved. We had lived in a tiny apartment for 7 years, like for our whole marriage. And we just moved into a house, and we moved on a day that it snowed. And that was a very happy day because we were moving, but it was also very challenging because it was really cold and really snowy. And so, but I mean, whenever God opens up the door for you to move here, it'll be, he will align all of those pieces, including the weather.
Well, it was really funny because I told my dad, I was like, look, I don't know how long I'm going to stay in Waco. I want to get to Nashville. And his main concern was, he's like, well, I don't know. Like, you and I can't move you out of that place. So you're going to have to find somebody to help you move. You're going to have to hire movers. I was like, Dad, Mom and I moved me into this place. You and I can move me out of this place.
Yes.
You're twice the size Mom was and twice as strong. Me and her got me in. You and I can get us out.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. It wasn't hard. So
yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'll take your word for it. And I'm like,
yep, you can do it. When Michael and I got married, we moved completely by ourselves. Like, we moved all of our furniture. We could have asked people, and we should have asked people, but I think we were just a little bit stubborn with not wanting to bother anyone. And looking back, we would have totally asked people now.
Yeah.
But we asked people to help us this time. But we did it all. I mean, like couches and like, big pieces of furniture. Like we did it all ourselves. And so I will attest that that it's possible. Neither of us are bodybuilders or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's one of those things, like the first time I ever moved myself out of my place, I sold all my furniture and just kind of packed everything that I could, like anything that I couldn't carry out to the vehicle, I sold. It was just like, okay, I can't carry this couch. So who wants it? $10, 20, like whatever it is. And they came, they got it. And that's how it worked. And so
that's amazing.
That ends up having to be what I do. I'm not going to be happy about it because now I've started getting good furniture. Like back then it was like cheap stuff from Target and just like leftover from college. And now it's just like, but I really like my bed right now. Like it's a brand new mattress, barely 2 years old, nice bed frame, all that stuff. And it's like, I don't want to sell it if I don't have to. So
no,
but so that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully, I keep saying November, and if my boss is listening, I'm never leaving. I'm not leaving Wake. So covering both sides of the coin there. But yeah, that's kind of where things are at. So, but other than that, outside of music, obviously you're very heavily involved in church and watching Sonic movies and reading all the Sonic stuff. When you need to escape from life, is that primarily what you do? What do you do to escape?
That's a good question. I like to go on walks. There was a time in my life where I was just like a lot more athletic than I am now, but I really enjoy just going on long walks and listening to music. Also, another thing that I've been doing recently to kind of unwind and also just keep joy in music. And I always want music, even though it's my job, I want it to feel like a hobby, even though it's my job. Like I want it to feel like something that I am doing in my free time. One way that I've done this, so there is a girl that I met from China, actually, and she set a goal for herself to watch 100 movies in a year. And what I decided to do, I made a goal for myself to listen to 100 albums this year, like 100 albums, like front to beginning to end. Because what I do a lot is, if a friend has a single coming out or if a band I like has a song coming out, I go listen to that song. I don't listen to a whole album or I skip. And like one thing, it's really been cool for me and just a great way to unwind and just really have peace, I guess, is just like going on walks, listening to whole albums. And it's been, I guess it would be kind of the same way someone would sit down and just like watch a movie. But I've been doing that with music. And it's been really cool. I also really like to cycle. Like I love to ride bikes, but I need to get my bike has like a flat tire and I haven't gotten it fixed in a while. And so need to do that. But
yeah, that sounds important if you want to get back out on the bike. So
get right with a flat tire.
Actually, that sounds really cool. But listening to the 50 new, is it 50 new albums or just 50 albums in general?
Just 50. And it's 100.
Oh, 100.
I made, just for this year. And it doesn't have to be new. A lot of it, like some of the albums that I've found have been some of my students. I mean, my students are younger than me. And they're some of them are like cool teenagers or cool, early 20s or before. And I mean, they have, the way I teach piano lessons, like I teach out of a book, but then I also am like, what song do you want to learn? And they'll bring me songs. And so a couple of my students, they've had songs they want to play, and then I'll go listen to the whole album of that song. And it also gives me kind of cool points with them because I'm like, oh, I went and listened to this whole album of this artist that you like. But,
that works.
Yeah.
And to kind of give, I'm sure you've noticed like a lot of like aspiring musicians sticking around a little bit longer because they want to learn a specific song. Because I remember when I was going through the process of learning how to play an instrument,
Yeah.
we were always learning like what they would call like the standards of marching band standards. And it was like, nobody listens to these songs.
Yeah, nobody wants to play that.
Yeah. And so it was one of those deals where it was like, I'm not sticking around. And I think after like 6 months, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. And then before I realized that, I was like, oh, hey, I should have stuck around and learned how to play an instrument of some sort. I was like in my mid 20s, and it's like, yeah, now I just don't have the time. So, but that's where it sits, and that'll be something I live with until I either decide, hey, if you really want to learn, shut up and find the time, or, so.
Yeah, you should totally do it. I mean, something I tell people is just try for like 5 minutes a day. And I feel like sometimes we set unrealistic goals for ourselves, and it just makes us want to quit. I mean, at least for me. But if I set small goals, I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on my voice 15 minutes a day. Like I can do that, I can't spend 2 hours every day. And then I'm just going to not do it and just be like, oh, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm a failure.
Yeah, I got you. So out of the, you've set out to listen to 100 albums. What's been your favorite album you've listened to so far?
Okay. So I will say, my favorite, my goodness, I'm so excited about this band. I just discovered them. My favorite album so far, it's called band is Bob Moses. And, the song, I'm sorry, I want to get it right. And so The Silence in Between. It's their newest full-length album. I have listened to that one like 3 or 4 times. I mean, all the way through. And that's a band that I am so excited about right now. I don't know have you heard of them before?
They sound familiar, but I couldn't tell you. So.
Well, it's like, I mean, my favorite music is rock music, but it's like, I feel like there's not, at least in mainstream, like the things that are well known, it's kind of harder to find it right now. But what Bob Moses has done is it's rock. I mean, it's rock music, but they've added elements of EDM and electronic, and to the point where they actually have in their live shows, like they'll sometimes do DJ sets as well. And of course, my favorite thing is when they're playing as a band, like their 4-piece band. But they have an album out, like their most recent album, and The Silence in Between. And like, I have just listened to that over and over. There's a song on it. It's like the lead single. It's called Love Brand New. And I heard the song on a radio station here, and I asked Siri like what it was. And then I listened to the song like 30 times. I'm not even lying. Like I'm obsessed with it. And I love the song so much that I went and played it at my gig that night. Like I was like, I love this. And it's been a long time since I've had a reaction to a band like that. I mean, I hear things and I like them, but it's very few and far between that I hear something and I love it to that level. And so I'm happy that I found them. Yeah.
The best music I've found is just randomly, like on the Live and Amplified page, I'll post, hey, drop your newest songs or whatever, or there's a current song that you're really enjoying. And I've found some of my favorite songs that way. And it's nothing like mainstream. It's all like independent musicians.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there and I'll listen to this song and I'll be like, wait a minute, why is this song not on the radio? This song is so good. Like this is kind of an obscure one, but there was this band that I got into for a good minute last year called the Bad Dad Orchestra.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them. That's cool. I'll have to check them out.
And they had this song that was just it wasn't like ska music, but they could have easily just kind of transitioned into ska music. It was like, I'd say almost pop rock with like orchestral instruments. Like it was it was
Cool.
really interesting. And I just sat there and I was like, this one song I was really obsessed with, and I'd listened to it just nonstop. And that nobody's ever heard of them. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Very
I
unfortunate.
know.
So, but yeah, as far as the albums go, how many have you listened to so far this year?
Let's see. I can tell you that. My
Are you-
phone can tell you that.
so
I've got a
you're-
list going.
Okay, I was
Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm not very far on my goal, but and that includes, like, I don't count it, like, so for the Bob Moses record, like I listened to that 3 or 4 times, and like it doesn't count as like 3 or 4 albums. Like I just count it as one, even though I'm listening to it a
yeah,
lot.
I got you. That makes sense. And the goal is 100 by the end of the year.
Yes.
I almost want to try and do something like that next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I listen to so much music, but it's one of those things. But I don't know. I'll have to think on that because that's really cool.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and it's brought a lot of joy into music, and because I listen to it so much for work and for my career, but this has made it be like where I'm a teenager again, just like listening to the radio and listening to a CD in my compact disc player.
So is that
just because I want to?
Is that how you're consuming these? Is through CD, or are you?
No, I'm just using Spotify.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like if you're trying to do through 100, trying to buy vinyl or a CD, it's just like that's going to
that would get expensive. I wish that I could do that, but yeah. Alas, I do have Spotify.
Yeah, for sure. So no, that's really cool. And then as far as kind of moving forward in 2022, I know you're always working on new music and stuff like that, but what's the plan for the rest of 2022?
Let's see. So I have, 1, 2, 3. I have 4 more songs I'm releasing this year that are finished. And then it'll be time to get back in the studio. I'm not sure if, being an independent artist, there's always just it's like, I don't have like huge investors behind me. I don't have a label behind me. And so, anytime I go into the studio, like there's money involved. And so with that said, it'll be, I'd love to get back in the studio this year to record new music so that I have stuff ready to go for next year, but it'll just depend on, finances and everything. If I get back in the studio this year and get ahead, or I start working on it next year.
Gotcha.
But I have songs ready to go, like songs that I've written that are kind of like on deck for the next ones to record. But
I was gonna ask if they were all originals or if they were more like covers, but
yeah, they're all originals. Dear Prudence is actually the only cover. It's actually the only cover I've released, except for, there was like a worship song I released like 10 years ago. But I don't usually release covers. Like it's like under my name. Like it's like I'll put covers up on YouTube or something, but everything I'm releasing next is going to be original music. Either I've written it completely myself or it's been a co-write.
For sure. Hey, that's, it's interesting because I've seen musicians starting to release covers more and more that don't usually do covers.
Yeah.
But, I think that's more of a fun challenge that they like to do,
Totally.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. And I know there's like a whole like DCMA and like a whole thing that you got to do, a whole extra step to get a permission to do that. So
I had to buy a license
Yeah.
for Dear Prudence. Like, and it was interesting because different people told me different things. Like different people were like, oh, if you're paying your distributor to
Mhm.
release the song, they take care of that. But then some other people told me, well, no, you need to pay for a license. And so I just went on ahead and paid for the license. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was like $75. And
Mhm.
so it's like, I'd rather do that than run the risk of it getting taken down
Yeah.
or getting sued by like Paul McCartney.
Yeah. So you took out a license from the FCC or?
So it was from actually like, so my distributor is TuneCore,
Mhm.
and they actually have a partner company that handles the licenses.
Mhm.
And so I was able to just go through them and get the license for it. Like basically
Okay.
just get like permission to stream it. And like if I wanted to even print CDs of it, I'm
Yeah.
allowed to do that now.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like an all inclusive thing. And I think I paid a little bit extra to even get the certificate.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm such a rule follower. And I'm also like, I'm a worst case scenario person.
Yeah.
And I was like, if anyone ever disputes this, like, I just want to have written proof that
Mhm.
I do have permission to release this song of the Beatles.
Yeah. $75. That does seem cheap, but that also seems expensive at the same time. I can't quite
Yeah.
wrap my head around if that's a good deal or not.
I know. Yeah. I'm glad that it wasn't like $1,000,
Mhm.
like if it was that, like, I probably, I don't even know if I released the song.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would release the song, but like, I don't know, that would just be a whole different kind
Mhm.
of commitment if it was that much.
It's like in my head, it's like it should be that much because it's like it's a Beatles song. It's
Yeah.
You're paying outright for a fee, like whatever it is. But then in my head, it's like $75. I don't know. That's a lot of money to shell out for I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I just don't. I guess I don't know the difference. So
Yeah.
and you don't have to like cut them in on like any percentages of anything that like
No,
that's
so that what's great about part of what that money takes care of is they take care of all that.
Mhm.
And so they take care of all the, I guess, administrative duties of all
Gotcha.
of that. So
Gotcha.
I don't have to, be keeping track of how many streams I have, or if I were to be printing CDs, keeping track of, okay, I got to give them $1 of each
Yeah.
CD or something. And so I'm very thankful for that service that
Gotcha.
they offer.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That's cool. So I don't want to keep you too much longer on this Saturday afternoon. You mentioned it was really nice there in Nashville, and it's really nice here in Texas. So I think it's time to get out and about. Outside of music, we talked about that. What's kind of the show situation looking like for the next few months?
So I'm just keeping up my I have kind of a consistent thing going of every week. I'm most weeks anyway, it's like I'm leading worship at a church on Sunday. I'm doing a writer's round. And then I'm doing like a hotel residency, and then I'm streaming on Twitch twice a week. And so I'm keeping up with that. I'm really excited. The end of the month, I am doing a full band show. It's the 27th of April. And my friend Gideon that I mentioned and Gabriel, who have the studio in Gallatin, they actually put on it's like a full band writers night once a month. And so anyway, Gideon's letting me host it at the end of the month. So it'll be actually me and Emmy and then our friend Chris Crump. And then the last artist is to be announced, but we'll have it'll be a writers round setup, but we'll have a full band behind us, like a house band. And so I'm really looking forward to that for sure, because it's once in a blue moon that I get to do a full band show. And so I always get extra excited about that. And then also like this, I don't think this is open to the public, but it's like I'd mentioned about how Michael and I have started to do to help out a little bit at Nashville Rescue Mission. And so they're going to have me do concerts concerts there periodically as well, which I'm really excited about. And so that I've seen it where they do those where they're open to the public, but then other times it's just for the guests there.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it would actually be kind of cool if they did open it to the public, and like any door charge they put in for like anybody from the outside that came in went to the mission.
That would be awesome.
That would be like a good night out for a good cause.
Yes.
So
I love that. I might mention that to them because they're a great organization and they're always looking for new ideas.
Mm-hmm. And if that's not like the intent behind it, then I get it. Like if they're not looking at it to raise money or whatever, and it's just more of a night of entertainment for the guests there, like that 100%, that makes 100% sense. But
sure.
It'll be interesting to see. So
yeah, that would be so cool.
For sure. And then if anybody wants to check out your music or any of the upcoming shows, anything like that, just interact with you on social media, watch one of your Twitch streams. Yeah. Where's the best place to get all that information? So I would say follow me on, of course, follow me on Twitch because I just talk about everything like in my Discord and all that. But probably Instagram and Facebook, everything that I do is just at Christen Ball Music. And on Instagram and Facebook, I share flyers once a month, just of whatever. I share my schedule. And so it's just a great way. I don't really have a website situation right now. And so I'm just using social media for those things. And it's a little bit more personal that way too. But yeah, it's just all at Christen Ball Music. Gotcha. Well, before we wrap this up, I do want to bring out the random question generator and ask you a couple of questions.
I love it.
So this first question, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Go for it.
If you could voice any cartoon character, who would it be?
Oh, well, that's an obvious one. Sonic the Hedgehog.
I honestly thought you were going to pull like a 180 and say like Knuckles or Tails or.
I thought about that for a second, but I'm like, it's like, it almost wouldn't make sense. No, I've got a low voice. I could pass for like, they could just put some auto tune on it and just make it. I'm like, I could be one of the female characters, but like Sally or Amy Rose, but no, I would say Sonic. I got to.
Awesome. If you had to relive 1 year of your life, what year would it be?
Oh boy, that is a great question. My goodness. Okay, probably. Oh, this is like, I don't want to throw shade at anyone, and I'm not, but probably. So this is kind of like maybe TMI. So I only dated one person before Michael, and the time that I spent dating the person before him, like I would just erase that. I mean, I learned a lot from it, but like I think, and like I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow, and you learn from every relationship, but at the same time I love Michael so much, and like it would have just been really cool for him to have been like my only boyfriend, like the only person I ever dated. And so I probably would have X'd out that time. It wasn't a year, it was only 3 months that I dated that other guy, so it wasn't very long.
Fair enough. Out of all the t-shirts you own, which one do you get the most compliments about or comments about?
Let's see. Probably, I mean, it's probably several shirts. Actually, like I have these, so every band that I love, like I have a band t-shirt for bands, band t-shirts. It's like, it's kind of a thing. It's like a trend. And these people wear band t-shirts. They don't even know who the band is, but I have a thing where I have band t-shirts for all of my favorite bands. So I have t-shirts for the Beatles, for Jeff Buckley, for Mute Math, for Oasis, for the Moody Blues. And so I probably get, honestly, I get compliments on all of those shirts the most, because people, and some of them are kind of, shirts that I've special ordered, that you don't see every day. Like you don't see them in the men's section at Target or something.
It's funny because I have this weird thing about buying shirts of bands that don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
So like in my closet, I've got like 6 band shirts of bands. Like I know who they are. I know the people in the bands or that were in the bands,
Yeah.
but they're all defunct now. And it's just kind of like there's a duo. Like what kicked it off was there was a duo, twin sisters. They were in like a pop rock band together, and they moved out to North Carolina. And one of them got the idea that they wanted to or both of them got the idea that they wanted to rebrand and bring in a drummer and like a bass player or something and kind of turn it into a more hard rock kind of sound.
Yeah.
And they started fundraising for their debut album. And I was like, you know what? I've been following them for a long time. Here's $30. I'll take the t-shirt, all that stuff. Before they could even get into the studio, the band broke up.
No.
And so they're like, well, we'll send you everything you ordered if you still want it. If not, we can just kind of give you the refund. I was like, no, I'll take what you got. And so they sent me like a t-shirt, a bumper sticker, and I think like lyrics to a song that was never released, which is kind of funny now that I think about it.
That is cool. Yeah.
So they kind of kicked off this weird trend of me buying band shirts that don't exist. So like every once in a while I'll go on Facebook, be like, hey, do you have a band that doesn't exist anymore and you're still trying to get rid of t-shirts?
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you remember the band Mute Math?
No, I don't.
Okay, like they were around more early 2000s, but they were one of my favorite bands, and sadly they have disbanded. But it's just funny that you mentioned that about bands that disbanded, because their lead singer, he's still a producer, and when there was the hurricane in Louisiana more recently, he said that he found all this old band merch from Mute Math that was just like in his garage. And I think it had been like a hard breakup with the band. And he was like, I was just going to get rid of all this stuff and just kind of take it to the dumpster. But then he said, I'd love to use this for good. And so he ended up doing a fundraiser for relief in Louisiana, and sold out of everything in a day. And I was one of the people that bought one of the t-shirts, and it was pretty obscure stuff that had, maybe missed the merchandise mark. Like the t-shirt I bought, like it's the fit on it is just kind of weird, but I'm still happy that I bought it. And especially because it went towards a good cause.
For sure.
But I like that as well. Like to get band
that's
t-shirts.
cool. That's cool and so random that he found but
he's like, here's all this stuff.
And then we'll do one last question here before we wrap this up. Would you rather instantly receive the knowledge of the next 10 years of your life, or subtract 10 years from your current age without retaining any of the knowledge?
That's a good. So the second one, if I subtracted those 10 years, like I would actually lose those 10 years.
Yeah. So you'd basically be 10 years younger.
Gotcha. I think I would like learn what was coming next, and that way I could prepare for it better.
Yeah. Like in my head, it's like, man, what would I'd give to be 10 years younger? But if I don't know what's coming, then I'm not going to really make any different choices.
Yeah.
So, it'd just be like living the last 10 years over again. So, but anyways, that's my thought on the whole thing. But really that's appreciated awesome. Having you on the podcast. I'm glad we were able to get it rescheduled. I know.
Yes, me too.
We were going back and forth a little bit about when we were going to get it on, but I'm glad we finally did this.
Me too.
And I will let you know when I'm in Nashville. I think it's going to be like May 8th, 9th, somewhere in that ballpark.
Nice.
So, except I realized that was Mother's Day. So
that's a sad day.
Yeah, that'll make things interesting. But my sister's also doing her gender reveal party on the 7th, because she was just announced last month that she was pregnant. So and she's like, come on up for the gender reveal party. And I'm like, okay. and I
Yeah.
can rope in a trip to Nashville and go visit my college buddies and all this stuff. And then I realized it was Mother's Day weekend. I was like, none of my buddies are going to be around.
Yeah.
Most of the musicians, because I will be coming through Nashville like on a Monday, Tuesday, which will
Yeah.
be really exciting because I've never been to Nashville on a weekday. I'm always there on the
Yeah.
weekends, and it's a completely different feel and
Yep.
vibe. So hopefully I can catch a writer's round or
Yes.
something out of left field that isn't there on the weekends.
That would be so cool.
But I will keep you in the loop on that one and just
Yes.
kind of let you know what's going on. But I do want to thank you once again so much for jumping
Yeah.
on. Remind
you.
people of the social media handles and where they can follow you.
It's at Christen Ball Music.
Awesome. And it's all the Twitter, Twitch,
Mhm.
Face. I don't know why I went Twitter and Twitch, but Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and we will catch you all later.